Attorney Horace Cooper from the National Center for Public Policy Research and Arise News legal contributor joins us now from Washington, D.C. Horace, it took no time for the president to make a victory lap on this. Basically, what did the Supreme Court say today?
Well, there's no doubt that this was a big victory for the president. But what the Supreme Court said today was, we are going to make an exception, and instead of using the normal interpretive tools that we have when there is a dispute over the meaning of a statute, we're going to come up with a way to allow the interpretation that the IRS has made to stand. That isn't so much a victory for the rule of law and not so much a victory for the idea that we want to have a predictable process to make sure in other disputes unrelated to the Affordable Care Act, we understand how to deal with those interpretive issues.
Horace, it comes down to language basically, right? Basically, the law said that the states are supposed to come up and run the exchanges. And in this case, the federal government was subsidizing areas where the states were not involved?
Well, that's exactly right. The law was very clear that in order to receive a subsidy from the program, you had to reside in a state that had established one of the exchanges. And as all sides acknowledged, the majority and the minority, the dissenters and those in the majority, said it's clear the law said something different than what we're going to do, and what the Chief Justice decided was, in this instance, was the phrase he used, we're going to choose to allow the decision of the IRS to implement this to still be the law, even if there were reasons why we wouldn't do that otherwise.
And Justice Scalia, who is certainly known for his salty language, basically said that this is now SCOTUS care, that the Supreme Court went way overboard in interpreting Congress here. You think that instead of settling this issue, it actually makes it more muddy?
Well, I think Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act, is likely now to get past most of the legal challenges. The problem here is, what do you do when Congress establishes a law that says you can have offshore drilling within a 5-mile radius, and suddenly EPA announces a regulation on lakes? Under this ruling today, the specific language of Congress doesn't have to be followed, and they didn't give us good guidance as to when the circumstances are that you're going to avoid that. So that's what I mean by, when you're talking about the business community generally, and when you're talking about attorneys advising counsel, the court's ruling, where they use the phrase, in this instance.
So Horace, basically this may provide some certainty for businesses for the Affordable Care Act, but now when it comes to other regulations, you're arguing now the Supreme Court has basically changed the rules.
They have created some ambiguity that is likely to lead to more litigation, not less, and give us less guidance on what it means when an agency takes action, a federal agency takes action, and they claim that they're using a statute that they're authorized to operate under. When we have these disputes, we're not clear on why. And what Scalia's dissent does is very clearly demonstrate how the old rules of how you handle these disputes weren't followed, and that there was a special exception made just for the Affordable Care Act. That's troubling for the law, but a big victory politically for the president.
Horace Cooper in Washington, D.C., thank you.